The rain was falling hard against the window. Kang Do-ha sat alone in his small apartment in Seoul. His eyes were tired. His back was hurting. He had been working on his computer for 6 hours without rest. The translation work was boring, but it paid his rent. That was enough. His apartment was tiny. One room for everything. A bed in the corner, a desk by the window, a small kitchen near the door. It was not much, but it was his. At 27 years old, Do-ha had learned to be happy with simple things. He looked at the clock. It was almost midnight. He decided to finish one more page and then sleep. His fingers moved across the keyboard. The rain continued to fall. Everything was normal. Then everything changed. A bright light filled the room. It was so strong that Do-ha covered his eyes with his hands. The light was white and blue, like lightning that did not end. His computer screen turned black. The lights in his apartment died. For 3 seconds, he could see nothing. When the light faded, Do-ha slowly opened his eyes. His heart was beating fast. He looked around his room, trying to understand what happened. Then he saw her. A woman was lying on his floor. She was wearing some kind of armor. It was silver and shiny, like nothing he had ever seen before. Her hair was long and white, almost silver. Her skin was pale. She was not moving. Do-ha stood up from his chair. His legs were shaking. He took one step closer, then another. He could see her face now. She looked young, maybe his age. She was beautiful in a strange way, but something was wrong. There was blood on the floor. The blood was coming from her side. The armor was broken there. Do-ha could see a deep cut in her body. The blood was dark red, almost purple. He should call the police. He knew this. A stranger appeared in his room from nowhere. She was hurt. She was wearing strange clothes. This was not normal. He should call for help. But then her eyes opened. Her eyes were violet, not a normal human color. They were bright, like jewels. Those eyes looked at him with fear, with pain, with something that Do-ha understood without words. She was afraid. She opened her mouth and spoke. The words were strange. He did not understand them. They sounded like music and metal at the same time. But his translation software on the computer flickered back to life. It picked up her voice and showed words on the screen. Sanctuary, I'm pleased. They will kill me. Do-ha felt his heart stop for a moment. He looked at the woman. He looked at the blood. He looked at her eyes full of terror. He should call the police. That was the smart thing to do. Instead, he ran to his bathroom. He grabbed his first aid kit. He had bought it 2 years ago and never used it. He returned to the woman and kneeled beside her. I don't know if I can help you, he said. His voice was shaking, but I will try. She did not understand his words, but she understood his meaning. Her body relaxed a little. She stopped trying to move. Do-ha opened the first aid kit. He had no idea what he was doing. The wound was deep and strange. The blood did not look normal. But he had seen videos online about treating injuries. He had to try. He cleaned the wound as best as he could. The woman made sounds of pain but did not scream. She was strong. He could see that. He used bandages to cover the cut. He wrapped them tight. The bleeding slowed down. For the next 2 hours, he sat beside her. He gave her water. He kept checking the bandages. The translation software kept running, learning her language bit by bit. Sometimes she spoke, and he saw fragments of words on his screen. Empire, princess, escape, danger. Do-ha did not understand everything, but he understood enough. This woman was running from something. Someone wanted to hurt her. She had nowhere else to go. Finally, near 3 in the morning, her breathing became normal. Her eyes were clearer. The pain on her face was less. She looked at him for a long time. Then she spoke again. This time the translation was complete. Human, may I stay here tonight? Do-ha looked at her. He thought about all the reasons to say no. She was a stranger. She was clearly not from Earth. She had enemies who were powerful enough to hurt her like this. If he helped her, he might be in danger too. But he also thought about her eyes, the fear in them, the hope when he helped her. He thought about how she had no one else. She was alone in a strange world, hurt and afraid. Do-ha knew what it felt like to be alone. His parents died when he was young. His grandmother raised him with nothing but love and hard work. He learned that kindness was the most important thing a person could give. Yes, he said, you can stay. The woman closed her eyes. A tear fell down her face. It was clear, like human tears, but it seemed to shine in the dim light. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you, human. Doha helped her move to his bed. He gave her his blanket. He found clean clothes that might fit her. Then he sat in his chair, watching over her as she fell asleep. He did not know her name. He did not know where she came from. He did not know what would happen tomorrow. But he knew one thing. He had made his choice. The rain continued to fall outside. The city of souls slept peacefully, not knowing that the world had just changed. Somewhere above the clouds beyond the sky, something was watching. Something was coming. Doha looked at the sleeping woman. Her silver hair spread across his pillow like moonlight. Her breathing was soft and slow. What did I get myself into? He whispered to himself. There was no answer, only the rain. He did not sleep that night. He stayed awake, watching over the stranger who fell from the sky. Whatever was coming, he would face it. He had no weapons. He had no power. He had no plan. But he was human. And humans, as the universe would soon learn, never gave up without a fight. The night passed slowly, and when the sun began to rise over Seoul, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold, Doha was still there, still watching, still protecting. He did not know it yet, but by saving one life, he had just started a war. The morning light came through the window. Doha opened his eyes slowly. He was still sitting in his chair. His neck was stiff. His body was tired. For a moment, he forgot what happened last night. Then he saw the woman in his bed. She was awake. She was sitting up, looking around his small apartment with curious eyes. Her silver hair was messy from sleep. The bandage on her side was still holding. She seemed stronger than before. Good morning, Doha said carefully. The translation software was still running. It had learned more of her language during the night. The woman heard his words and understood them. Good morning, human, she replied. Her voice was soft but clear. I owe you my life. I must give you my name. I am Lyra, third princess of the Valoran Empire. Doha blinked. Princess? Yes. Lyra looked down at her hands. Though I do not feel like one anymore. I ran away from my home. I ran away from my duty. I am now nothing. Doha stood up and walked to his small kitchen. He started making breakfast. Simple rice and soup. It was all he had. Why did you run? He asked. Lyra was quiet for a moment, then she spoke. My father, the emperor, is sick. He will die soon. The nobles are fighting for power. One of them, a warlord named Voran, wants to marry me, not for love, never for love. He wants my blood, my family name. With me as his wife, he can claim the throne. And what would he do with the throne? War, Lyra said simply. Death. He has already destroyed 3 planets that would not follow him. He calls it justice. I call it murder. Doha brought 2 bowls of rice to the bed. He sat beside her and offered 1 bowl. Lyra looked at the food with confusion. What is this? Rice. We eat it with a spoon or chopsticks. Here. He showed her how to use the spoon. She copied him, moving slowly and carefully. She put the first bite in her mouth. Her eyes went wide. This is good, she said with surprise. Your planet has good food. Doha smiled a little. We try. They ate together in silence. Doha watched Lyra. She moved like someone who was used to being served. Every action was careful, elegant, but there was also something else, something broken. Your ship, Doha said. What happened to it? Destroyed. Lyra looked out the window at the city below. I was escaping through a hidden route. Voran soldiers found me. They shot my ship near your planet's moon. I fell through the sky. The emergency system brought me here. To this room. To you. Why here? Why my room? Lyra shook her head. I do not know. The system finds the nearest safe place. Maybe your room was the safest. Maybe it was luck. Maybe it was fate. Doha did not believe in fate, but he did not say that. What will you do now? He asked. I cannot leave. My ship is gone. I have no way to contact my allies. Lyra put down her bowl. Her hands were shaking. Voron's hunters will come. They will search this planet for me. If they find me, they will take me back, and they will kill anyone who helped me. Doha felt cold, but he did not look away from her. Then we need to hide you, he said. Lyra stared at him. You would still help me, even knowing the danger? I already made my choice last night. For a moment, Lyra could not speak. Then she nodded slowly. You are strange, human. Kang Doha, I will remember your kindness. Doha spent the rest of the morning helping Lyra blend in. Her armor was too strange to wear outside. He found some of his old clothes for her. A simple sweater, dark pants. They were too big, but they would work. The real problem was her hair. Silver white hair was not common in Seoul. People would stare. People would remember. Can you change it? He asked. Change the color? Lyra touched her hair. Among my people, hair color is a sign of noble blood. To change it would be... She stopped. Then she laughed, a sad and quiet laugh. I am hiding on a strange planet to avoid marriage to a killer. I think I can change my hair. She closed her eyes. Doha watched in amazement as her hair slowly turned dark brown. When she opened her eyes again, she looked almost human. Incredible, Doha whispered. A small trick, Lyra said. All Velorens can do this. But my eyes, she pointed at her violet eyes. These I cannot change. Doha thought for a moment. Then he went to his desk and found an old pair of sunglasses. He gave them to Lyra. She put them on. Perfect, he said. You look like a normal person now. Lyra looked at herself in the mirror. She touched her face, her hair, the sunglasses. I look like a human, she said quietly. Strange. Later that day, Doha took Lyra outside. She needed to understand this world if she was going to survive. They walked through the streets of Seoul. Lyra looked at everything with wide eyes, the cars, the buildings, the people rushing everywhere, the sound of music from shops, the smell of food from restaurants. Everything was new to her. Your world is so busy, she said, so full of life. We have 7 billion people on this planet, Doha told her. Everyone is always doing something. Lyra stopped walking. 7 billion? On one planet? Yes. She was silent for a long time. Then she spoke again. My people number 3 billion across many planets. Your species lives only on this one world? Yes. Lyra looked at the sky, at the sun shining above them, at the clouds floating by. And yet you build these cities. You create these machines. You make art and music and food. She turned to Doha. Your species has no claws, no venom, no armor, no natural weapons. How did you survive? Doha thought about the question. He looked at the people around them. Office workers rushing to meetings, students laughing together, an old man feeding birds in the park, a mother holding her child's hand. Stubbornness, mostly, he said. Lyra did not understand at first. Then she smiled. It was the first real smile he had seen from her. Stubbornness, she repeated. I think I am beginning to understand. They walked for 2 more hours. Doha showed her how to use the subway, how to buy food from a street vendor, how to bow when greeting someone older. Lyra learned quickly. She was smart and careful. When they returned to his apartment, the sun was setting. Lyra sat by the window and watched the city lights turn on, one by one. It is beautiful, she said. Doha sat beside her. Earth has many problems. War, hunger, hate. But yes, it is beautiful too. Lyra looked at him. Her violet eyes were serious. I hope I have not brought destruction to your beautiful world, Kang Doha. Before he could answer, something happened. A low sound filled the air. It was coming from Lyra, from a small device on her wrist. It was glowing red. Lyra's face went pale. They found me, she whispered. The hunters are here. Doha looked out the window at the night sky. Somewhere above the city, hidden among the stars, something was moving. Something hungry, something coming for them. Then we run, he said, together. Lyra took his hand. Her fingers were cold, but her grip was strong. Together, she agreed. And above them, in the darkness of space, 3 Valoran warships entered Earth's orbit. The hunt had begun. The streets of Hongdae were alive with light and sound. Music came from every direction. Young people walked in groups, laughing and talking. The night was young, and the famous party district of Seoul was just waking up. Doha held Lyra's hand tightly as they moved through the crowd. His heart was beating fast. He did not know where to go. He only knew they had to keep moving. "How many hunters?" he asked. Lyra looked at the device on her wrist. 3. They are close, moving fast. "Can we fight them?" Lyra shook her head. "Valoran soldiers are trained for war. They have weapons that can destroy buildings. Against 3 of them, I would last maybe 1 minute. You would last less." "Great," Doha said. "Running it is." They pushed deeper into the crowd. The streets became narrower, more people everywhere, music getting louder, lights flashing from every direction. Then Doha saw them. 3 figures stood at the end of the street. They were tall, taller than any human. Their armor was dark, almost invisible in the shadows, but their eyes glowed red in the night. They were scanning the crowd, looking for something, looking for Lyra. "Don't look at them," Doha whispered. "Keep walking. Stay with the crowd." Lyra lowered her head. Her hand squeezed his tighter. They walked slowly, trying to look normal. Just 2 people enjoying the night. But the hunters were not fooled. One of them pointed directly at Lyra. The 3 figures began moving through the crowd. People stepped away from them without knowing why. Some primal fear made them move. "They see me," Lyra said. "I know." Doha looked around quickly. Then he saw it. A nightclub. Loud music. Packed with people. A line outside. Perfect. "Follow me," he said. He pulled Lyra toward the club. They pushed past the line. The bouncer at the door, a large man with a bored face, held up his hand. "Line is back there," he said. Doha pulled out all the money in his wallet. It was not much, but it was everything he had. "Please," he said, "just let us in. Please." The bouncer looked at the money. Then he looked at Doha's face. Something in Doha's eyes made him pause. Real fear. Real desperation. The bouncer took the money and stepped aside. "Go in. Stay out of trouble." Doha and Lyra rushed inside. The club was dark and loud. Colored lights flashed everywhere. Hundreds of people were dancing, pressed together in a sea of movement. The bass from the music was so strong that Doha could feel it in his chest. "This way," he said. They moved through the crowd, going deeper into the club. Lyra looked around with confusion. "What is this place?" "A nightclub. Humans come here to dance and forget their problems." "You have strange rituals." "Yes, but all these people, all this noise, all these electronics, it should confuse their scanners. They cannot find your signal in here." Lyra understood. "You are hiding my energy signature in the chaos." "Exactly." They found a dark corner near the back of the club. From here they could see the main entrance. They waited. For 5 minutes nothing happened. Doha started to hope. Maybe they lost the hunters. Maybe they were safe. Then the front door exploded, not with fire or sound. It simply flew off its hinges and crashed into the crowd. People screamed. The music stopped. Everyone looked toward the entrance. 3 Valoran soldiers walked in. They were even more terrifying up close. 7 feet tall, covered in armor that seemed to drink the light. Their faces were hidden behind masks. In their hands they carried weapons that glowed with strange energy. "Give us the princess," one of them said. His voice was loud enough to fill the room. "And your lives will be spared." For a moment no one moved. The people in the club did not understand. They thought it was some kind of show, some costume, some game. Then one of the soldiers grabbed a man near him and threw him across the room. The man flew 20 feet through the air and crashed into the bar. Glass shattered everywhere. The man did not move. People started screaming, running. The panic began. Doha grabbed Lyra. "We need to go. Back exit." But before they could move, something unexpected happened. The bouncer from the door stepped in front of the soldiers. He was joined by 4 other men. Security. Off-duty soldiers. Men who had seen real violence before. "I don't know who you are," the bouncer said, "but you don't throw my customers." The lead soldier looked down at him. "Move aside, human. You are not our target. You made yourself my target when you broke my door." And then the bouncer punched the soldier in the face. It was not a smart move. It was not a train move. It was just a fist thrown with all the anger and strength of a man who was tired of people causing trouble in his club. The soldier's head turned slightly from the impact. That was all. But it was enough. Because in that moment, everyone in the club realized something. These soldiers could be hit. They were not gods. They were not ghosts. They were real. And humans did not like being threatened. The brawl started instantly. The other security men jumped on the soldiers. Then some drunk college students joined. Then a group of workers who had been drinking after a long day. Then more people and more, until it was impossible to see what was happening. The soldiers were stronger, much stronger. One punch from them could break bones, but they were not prepared for this. They were trained to fight armies with discipline and order. They were not trained to fight 50 drunk humans in a dark room with no rules. Bottles flew through the air. Chairs were used as weapons. Someone threw a speaker at a soldier's head. The lights flashed on and off as people crashed into the walls. Bodies everywhere, fighting, screaming, punching. It was chaos. Beautiful, terrible, human chaos. Doha pulled Lyra toward the back exit. They pushed through the crowd, stepping over fallen people, ducking under flying objects. His heart was racing, his hands were shaking, but he kept moving. They reached the back door. Doha kicked it open. Fresh air hit their faces. They ran, through the alley, past the garbage cans, around the corner, into another street. They did not stop until they were 3 blocks away, hidden in the shadows of an empty park. Lyra leaned against a tree, breathing hard. Then she started to laugh. It was not a quiet laugh. It was loud and free and full of disbelief. She laughed until tears ran down her face. "Your people," she said between laughs, "your people are insane." Doha leaned against a bench, trying to catch his breath. His chest hurt, his legs were tired, but he was smiling. "Yeah," he said, "it's kind of our thing." Lyra shook her head. "Those soldiers have conquered entire planets. They have destroyed armies. And tonight, they were defeated by—" She could not finish. She was laughing too hard. "Drunk humans in a nightclub," Doha said. "Drunk humans in a nightclub," Lyra repeated. They sat in the darkness for a long time, letting their hearts slow down. The sounds of sirens echoed in the distance. Police, ambulances. The chaos was not over yet. "We need to leave Seoul," Doha said. "They will search the whole city now." "Where will we go?" Doha thought about it. He thought about the only place he had ever felt truly safe, the only person who had always protected him. "Busan," he said. "My grandmother lives there." Lyra looked at him with tired eyes. "Will she help us?" Doha smiled. "She makes the best food in Korea, and she is not afraid of anything." "Then we go to Busan." They stood up and started walking toward the train station. Behind them, the city burned with chaos and confusion. Above them, the Valoran ships waited in orbit. But somewhere in the darkness, a soldier made his report. The princess was protected by a human, a single ordinary human, and this human had helped her escape 3 elite soldiers. The commander received the report. His orders changed immediately. "Capture them both. The planet may have strategic value." The hunt was not over. It was just beginning. The train to Busan left at 3 in the morning. Doha and Lyra sat in the back, away from the other passengers. The train was mostly empty at this hour. A few tired workers, some students going home, an old man sleeping in the corner. Lyra looked out the window at the passing darkness. The lights of Seoul faded behind them. The countryside appeared, black shapes under a cloudy sky. "Tell me about your grandmother," she said quietly. Doha leaned back in his seat. He had not slept in 2 days. His body was screaming for rest, but talking helped him stay awake. "Her name is Kang Unji," he said. "She is 78 years old. She raised me after my parents died." "Your parents, how did they die?" Doha was quiet for a moment. It was an old wound, but it still hurt. "Car accident," he said. "I was 7 years old. My grandmother took me in that same day. She had no money. Her husband, my grandfather, had died the year before. But she never hesitated. She sold everything she had. She worked 3 jobs. She made sure I went to school, ate good food, and had clothes to wear." Lyra listened carefully. "She sounds like a warrior." Doha smiled. She would hate that word. She calls herself a simple woman. But yes, she is the strongest person I know. The train moved through the night. Hours passed. Doha slept a little, waking up every time the train stopped. Lyra stayed awake, watching the world go by. They arrived in Busan as the sun was rising. The air smelled like the sea. Doha led Lyra through the streets, away from the main city toward the coast. They walked for an hour until they reached a small village near the water. The house was old but clean, a small garden in the front, fishing nets hanging on the side. The door was painted blue, faded by years of sun and rain. Doha knocked. For a moment there was silence, then footsteps. The door opened. Kang Yunji was a small woman with gray hair tied back in a simple bun. Her face was covered in wrinkles, but her eyes were sharp and bright. She looked at Doha. Then she looked at Lyra. Then back at Doha. "You look terrible," she said. "Good morning, grandmother. You haven't slept, you haven't eaten, and you bring a stranger to my door." She crossed her arms. "What trouble did you find this time?" Doha opened his mouth to explain, but Yunji held up her hand. "No. First, you come inside. Both of you. You will eat, you will rest. Then you will tell me everything." She turned and walked into the house. Doha and Lyra followed. The inside of the house was warm and full of good smells. A pot of soup was already cooking on the stove. Rice was steaming in a cooker. The table was set for one person, but Yunji quickly added 2 more places. "Sit," she commanded. They sat. Yunji served them food without a word. Bowl after bowl appeared in front of them. Soup, rice, vegetables, fish, small dishes of pickled things. More food than Doha had seen in weeks. "Eat," Yunji said. "All of it." Lyra looked at the food with wonder. She picked up her chopsticks carefully, the way Doha had taught her. She took a bite of the soup. Her eyes went wide. "This is—" She could not find the words. "This is the best thing I have ever eaten." Yunji nodded with satisfaction. "Of course it is. Now eat more." They ate until their stomachs hurt. Yunji watched them the whole time, making sure they finished every dish. When they were done, she finally sat down across from them. "Now," she said, "tell me." Doha took a deep breath. Then he told her everything. The light in his apartment, Lyra's arrival, the wound, the hunters in Seoul, the fight in the nightclub, everything. When he finished, Unji was silent for a long time. She looked at Lyra. Really looked at her, the way only old people can look at someone. "So you're from space," Yunji said finally. Lyra nodded. "Yes, grandmother." "And bad people are chasing you." "Yes." "And you came to my house because my grandson has a soft heart and cannot say no to someone in need." Lyra looked at Doha, then back at Yunji. "He saved my life, without asking for anything, without hesitation. I did not understand why. Now I think I do. He learned kindness from you." Yunji's face did not change, but something in her eyes softened. "Good answer." She stood up and went to a closet. She pulled out blankets and pillows. "You will sleep in the back room. The hunters will not find you here. This village is too small for anyone to care about." "You believe me?" Lyra asked. Yunji looked at her with tired, wise eyes. "Child, I have lived 78 years. I have seen war. I have seen hunger. I have seen things that would break most people. A princess from space is strange, but it is not the strangest thing I have seen." She handed the blankets to Lyra. "Besides, my grandson trusts you. That is enough for me." Lyra took the blankets. Her hands were shaking. Her eyes were wet. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you, grandmother." "Thank me by resting. You look too skinny. I will make you eat until you are healthy again." Doha helped Lyra set up the back room. It was small but comfortable. A window looked out over the sea. The morning light filled the space with warmth. "Your grandmother is wonderful," Lyra said. "I know." Lyra sat on the bed and looked around the room. On the walls were old photographs. Doha as a child, his parents on their wedding day, Yunji as a young woman, standing next to a tall man with a kind smile. "Your family," Lyra said. Doha nodded. "What's left of it? Among my people, family means power. It means blood and duty and obligation. It is a weapon." Lyra touched one of the photographs gently. Here, family means something different, something warmer. Family is everything, Doha said. We fight for family. We die for family. We live for family. It's the thing that keeps us going when everything else falls apart. Lyra was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke softly. I never understood why you helped me. A stranger, an alien, someone who brought danger to your door. She looked at him with her violet eyes. Now I think I understand. To you, anyone in need is family. Anyone who asks for help deserves kindness. Doha did not know what to say. That is humanity's hidden strength, Lyra continued. Not weapons, not technology, not power, kindness, connection. The willingness to help someone simply because they need help. She looked out the window at the sea. My people value strength above all else. The strong rule, the weak obey. We have conquered many worlds with this belief. She shook her head slowly. But we have never built anything like this. This small house, this warm food, this grandmother who welcomes strangers. This is something my people lost long ago. Maybe we never had it. Doha sat beside her. Every species has good and bad in them, he said. Humans have done terrible things too. Wars, cruelty, destruction. We're not perfect. No, but you try. You keep trying. That is the difference. They sat in silence for a while, watching the waves crash against the shore. Peaceful, quiet, safe. Then Unji's voice came from the other room. Doha, come here. Something is on the news. They rushed to the living room. Yunji was standing in front of the television. On the screen was a news report. Reporters were talking quickly. The words scrolled at the bottom of the screen. Strange lights seen over Busan. Military investigating. Doha looked out the window. On the horizon where the sea met the sky, he saw them. Ships, 3 of them, moving slowly toward the coast, moving toward the village. Lyra's face went pale. They found me, she said. Unji turned off the television. She walked to the back of the house and returned with something in her hands. A baseball bat, old but solid. Well, she said, if they want to fight, they will get one. Doha looked at his grandmother, 78 years old, armed with a baseball bat, ready to fight aliens. Despite everything, he smiled. I love you, grandmother. I know. Now what's the plan? Doha looked at Lyra. She was scared, but there was something new in her eyes, something that looked like hope, like courage. We stand, he said, together. And outside the window, the ships grew closer. The cliffs near Unji's village were tall and beautiful. On a normal day, you could stand there and watch the waves crash against the rocks below. You could feel the wind on your face and smell the salt in the air. It was a peaceful place. Today, it was a battlefield. Doha, Lyra, and Yunji stood at the edge of the cliffs. Behind them was the village, a small collection of houses where maybe 40 people lived. Old fishermen, their families, children who played on the beach after school. In front of them, 10 Valoran soldiers stood in a line. Their armor was darker than the ones in Seoul, more decorated. These were not simple hunters. These were elite warriors, and in the center of them stood their commander. Voran was tall, even for a Valoran. His armor was black and gold, covered in symbols that Doha did not understand. His face was visible, not hidden behind a mask. He wanted them to see him. He wanted them to be afraid. Princess Lyra, Voran said. His voice was calm, almost kind. This chase has gone on long enough. You have proven your point. You are brave. You are determined. These are good qualities for a future empress. Lyra did not move. Her hands were clenched at her sides. I will never be your empress, she said. Voran smiled. It was not a nice smile. You misunderstand your position. This is not a request. You will return with me. You will become my wife. And together we will build an empire that will last forever. An empire built on corpses, Lyra said. I have seen what you do, Voran. I have seen the planets you destroyed, the people you killed. You are not a leader. You are a monster. The smile faded from Voran's face. Careful, princess. My patience is not endless. He gestured toward the village below. These humans have been kind to you. I can see that. It would be sad if something happened to them. Yunji stepped forward. She was still holding her baseball bat. Are you threatening my village? She asked. Vorin looked at her with amusement. Old woman, do you know who I am? I have destroyed civilizations. I have burned worlds. What is one tiny village to me? This tiny village is my home, Yunji said, and you are not welcome here. For a moment, Vorin stared at her. Then he laughed, a cold, empty laugh. I admire your courage. It is rare to see such spirit in someone so fragile. He turned back to Lyra. But courage cannot stop weapons. Here is my offer. Return with me now, and I will spare this village. The old woman, the children, the fishermen, they can all live. Fight me, and I will turn this entire coast into ash. Lyra's face was pale. Her body was shaking, but not with fear, with anger, with frustration, with the weight of a choice no one should have to make. Don't, Doha said quietly. Lyra looked at him. Her eyes were wet. He will kill them, she whispered, all of them, for helping me. If you go with him, you die, and he wins. Everything you ran from, everything you fought for, it all means nothing. And if I stay, what happens to these people? What happens to your grandmother? What happens to you? Doha looked at Yunji. His grandmother met his eyes and nodded slowly. He looked at the village below, the small houses, the boats on the shore, the life that continued even as war stood at their door. Then he looked at Lyra. We fight, he said. With what? Lyra's voice broke. We have nothing. No weapons, no army, no hope. We have something, Doha said. We have stubbornness, remember? Lyra stared at him, her mouth open to respond. And then the helicopters arrived. The sound came first, a deep, thundering rhythm that shook the air. Then the shapes appeared over the hills. Military helicopters, painted in the colors of the South Korean army. 10 of them, then 20, then more. Vorin's soldiers looked up, their weapons raised toward the sky, but they did not fire, because they were not prepared for this. Tanks rolled down the coastal road. Trucks full of soldiers followed. Jets screamed overhead, circling like predators. Within minutes, the cliffs were surrounded by the full force of the Korean military. A loudspeaker crackled to life. Attention unidentified entities. You are in violation of Korean airspace. Put down your weapons and surrender immediately. This is your only warning. Vorin looked at the military with confusion, then anger, then something else, something that might have been fear. Where did they come from? One of his soldiers asked. Doha smiled. I sent a message last night, he said. While we were on the train, strange lights in the sky, possible invasion, hostile aircraft. The Korean military takes these things very seriously. Lyra looked at him with disbelief. You called your planet's army? I called everyone I could think of. Doha held up his phone. Social media helps. When enough people report strange things, the government pays attention. Vorin's face twisted with rage. You think these primitive weapons can stop us? We are Valoran. We have conquered species 1,000 times more advanced than yours. Maybe, Doha said, but you brought 10 soldiers. We brought the whole country. The helicopters moved closer. Soldiers took positions on the ground. Guns aimed at the Valorans from every direction. The odds were impossible, but humanity did not care about odds. Vorin looked at his soldiers. They looked back at him. Nobody wanted to start a war they might not win. This is not over, Vorin said to Lyra. You can hide behind these animals for now, but eventually you will be alone. And when that day comes, I will be waiting. He raised his hand. A beam of light shot from his palm into the sky. The Valoran ships above responded. Bright circles appeared beneath each soldier, and one by one, they vanished into light. Vorin was the last to go. Enjoy your borrowed time, princess, he said. It will not last. And then he was gone. For a long moment, nobody moved. The military stood ready. The helicopters hovered. Everyone waited for something else to happen. Then a Korean general approached the cliffs. He was an older man with a tired face and sharp eyes. He looked at Doha, then at Lyra, then at Yunji with her baseball bat. Someone want to explain what's going on? He asked. Yunji lowered her bat. It's a long story, she said. You should probably sit down. Later that night, After hours of questions and explanations and meetings that Doha barely understood, he found himself alone with Lyra on the cliffs. The military had set up a camp nearby. Yunji was inside, probably making tea for the confused soldiers. Lyra stood at the edge, looking out at the sea. The stars were visible now, thousands of them scattered across the sky. Somewhere up there, enemy ships waited. Somewhere up there, a war was brewing. "You saved us," Lyra said quietly. "Again." "We saved each other." "No." Lyra turned to face him. Her violet eyes reflected the starlight. "You stood in front of Vorin, a human with no weapons, no powers, nothing. And you told him you would fight. I wasn't going to let him take you." "Why?" Lyra stepped closer. "I have brought you nothing but danger. Hunters, soldiers, a threat to your entire planet. Why do you keep fighting for me?" Doha thought about the question. He had asked himself the same thing many times. The answer was complicated and simple, and everything in between. "Because you needed help," he said finally, "and I was there. That's what humans do. We help. We fight. We refuse to give up." Lyra looked at him for a long time. Then she did something unexpected. She bowed. It was a deep bow, the kind her people reserved for those they respected most. Her silver hair, now returned to its natural color, fell around her face like curtains. "Kang Doha," she said, "you have shown me something I thought was impossible. You have shown me that strength does not require cruelty, that power does not require fear, that one person, one ordinary person, can stand against the darkness and refuse to break." She straightened. "I do not know what happens next, but I know this. Whatever comes, I am glad I fell into your room that night." Doha did not know what to say, so he just smiled. "Yeah," he said, "me too." And above them, the stars watched silently, waiting to see what would happen next. 1 week had passed since the confrontation on the cliffs. The Korean government had kept everything quiet. No news reports, no public announcements. They were not ready to tell the world that aliens were real. Not yet. Lyra understood. It was a lot to accept. But she knew something the humans did not. Running was no longer an option. Hiding was no longer an option. Vorin would never stop hunting her. He would never give up. And eventually his patience would run out, and he would burn Earth to get what he wanted. There was only one way forward. She had to tell the truth. "A broadcast?" Doha asked. They were sitting in Unji's house drinking tea. The old woman listened quietly from her chair by the window. "My people are not all like Vorin," Lyra explained. "Many of them are good. They want peace. They want justice. But they are afraid. The warlord controls the military. He controls the news. He tells them lies about me. He says I am a traitor, a coward, a criminal. And a broadcast would change that. If I can speak directly to my people, tell them the truth, show them who Vorin really is, some of them might listen. Some of them might stand against him." Doha nodded slowly. "It's risky. If it doesn't work, then we are no worse than before." Lyra put down her tea. "But I cannot keep hiding. I cannot keep running. If I am to be a princess, I must act like one. I must fight." Yunji spoke for the first time. "She's right. Running only delays the problem. It does not solve it." Doha looked at his grandmother. Then he looked at Lyra. Her eyes were determined, more determined than he had ever seen. "Okay," he said. "Then we make a broadcast." The problem was technology. To send a message across the galaxy, Lyra needed equipment that did not exist on Earth, or so they thought. Doha called his old friend from university, a woman named Yuna. She was a tech genius, a hacker, someone who knew things she should not know and could do things she should not do. When Doha explained the situation, Yuna was silent for a long time. "So," she said finally, "aliens are real, and you need me to help you hack an alien satellite network." "Pretty much. This is the strangest phone call I've ever received. Is that a yes?" Another pause. Then Yuna laughed. "When do we start?" They met at an old radio station outside Busan. The building had been abandoned for years. Nobody would look for them there. Yuna brought computers, cables, and equipment that Doha could not identify. This won't work on its own, Yuna said, examining Lyra's wrist device. But if I can link your technology to our satellite systems, we might be able to boost the signal enough to reach wherever you need it to go. Lyra nodded. The Valoran communication network uses a specific frequency. If you can match it, my device can piggyback on their system. Piggyback on an alien system? Yuna grinned. This is the coolest thing I've ever done. They worked for 3 days. Yuna barely slept. Lyra explained everything she knew about Valoran technology. Doha helped where he could, mostly by bringing food and keeping watch. On the third night, they were joined by someone unexpected. Dr. Park Soon-ho was Doha's old professor from university, a physicist, a brilliant man who had spent his life studying radio signals from space. He had been searching for alien life for 30 years. Now alien life was standing in front of him, asking for help. I should be surprised, Professor Park said, looking at Lyra. I should be shocked. But honestly, I always knew we weren't alone. I just didn't expect to meet a visitor in a rundown radio station. He shook Lyra's hand. It's an honor, Princess. Thank you for coming. Professor, are you kidding? His eyes sparkled with excitement. This is what I've waited my whole life for. Show me what you need. With Professor Park's help, the project moved faster. He knew things about signal propagation and satellite positioning that nobody else did. He adjusted the equipment. He calculated the angles. He made the impossible possible. Finally, on the fourth night, everything was ready. Lyra stood in front of a camera that Yuna had set up. Behind her was a blank wall, simple, clean, nothing to distract from her message. You're sure about this? Doha asked. Lyra took a deep breath. No, she admitted, but I am doing it anyway. She looked at the camera. Yuna gave her a thumbs up. Recording, Yuna said. You're live across the galaxy, I guess. Lyra straightened her shoulders. Her violet eyes met the camera, and she began to speak. My name is Lyra, third princess of the Valoran Empire. For the past 3 weeks, I have been called a traitor, a coward, a criminal. I speak now to tell you the truth. Her voice was steady, strong, a princess reclaiming her throne, one word at a time. Lord Voran has lied to you. He wants you to believe that our expansion is necessary, that the worlds we conquer are hostile, that the species we destroy are threats. These are lies. She paused. Her hands were trembling, but her voice did not shake. I have seen his records. I have witnessed his crimes. He does not conquer for our empire. He conquers for himself. He destroys not for our protection, but for his own glory. And if he becomes emperor, he will lead us all to ruin. Lyra looked directly into the camera. I am not asking you to follow me. I am asking you to think, to question, to see what is in front of you. Our empire was once great because we built, because we created, because we reached for the stars with open hands, not closed fists. She held up her hand. In it was a small object, a simple stone that Yunji had given her from the beach. I hold in my hand a stone from a planet called Earth. It is a small world, young, primitive by our standards. And yet in the short time I have been here, I have witnessed more kindness, more courage, more love than I saw in 20 years at home. Her eyes filled with tears. I came to this world expecting savages. I found a people who gave me shelter, food, and hope. They did not ask for anything in return. They did not demand payment or service. They helped me because I needed help. Nothing more, nothing less. She lowered the stone. If this is weakness, then I no longer wish to be strong. If this is primitive, then perhaps we are the ones who need to learn. She stepped closer to the camera. To all who hear this message, I am still alive. I am still fighting. And I will keep fighting until our empire remembers what it was supposed to be. Join me, not because I command it, not because of my blood or my title, but because it is the right thing to do. She paused. Then she spoke one more time. My name is Lyra, and I am not a traitor. I am the future. The recording ended. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Yuna broke the silence. Signal sent, she said quietly. It's out there now. In about 6 hours, it will reach the first Valoran systems. Lyra sat down heavily. The strength seemed to leave her body all at once. Doha sat beside her. You did it, he said. We did it. She looked around the room, at Yuna typing on her computer, at Professor Park, checking the equipment, at the small group of ordinary humans who had come together to help a stranger. Why? She asked. Why do they help? They have never met me. They owe me nothing, and yet they give everything. Doha smiled. Because we're human. We help each other, even when it's hard, even when it's dangerous, even when we're scared. He took her hand. That's what makes us who we are. Lyra looked at their joined hands. You are a remarkable species, she said. Yeah, we try. 6 hours passed, then 12, then 24, and then the news came. Across the Valoran Empire, people were rising. Soldiers were questioning orders. Nobles were demanding answers. The warlord's control was cracking, but Voran was not finished. In his fury, in his rage, in his desperate need to win, he made one final decision. He would send his personal fleet to Earth. Not to capture Lyra, not to negotiate, to destroy. The final battle was coming, and humanity was about to discover what it truly meant to fight for survival. Not from clouds, not from night, but from ships. Thousands of them blocking out the sun. Voren's fleet had arrived. Across the world, people looked up and saw death. They saw massive vessels the size of cities, their weapons glowing with terrible light. They saw the end of everything they knew. The governments of Earth reacted quickly. Every nation launched everything they had. Jets, missiles, satellites. The combined military power of the entire human race flew toward the stars. It was not enough. The first wave of human jets met the Valoran fleet and vanished in seconds. Missiles exploded harmlessly against shields that had stopped much greater weapons. The Valoran ships did not even slow down. Voran's voice broadcast across all frequencies. Every television, every radio, every phone. People of Earth, you have harbored a criminal. You have interfered with the affairs of the Valoran Empire. These are crimes that cannot be forgiven. Billions of people watched, listened, feared. Your world will burn. Your species will be erased. And the princess will watch it all before she joins you. This is the price of your arrogance. The broadcast ended. The attack began. Energy beams rained down from the sky, destroying cities in seconds. Millions died in the first minute. Fire and chaos spread across every continent. On the ground, Doha held Lyra's hand as they watched from the military base where they had been taken for protection. Soldiers ran everywhere. Orders were shouted. Nobody knew what to do. This is my fault, Lyra whispered. Her face was pale. Her eyes were empty. All of this, because of me. No. Doha turned her to face him. This is Voran's fault, not yours. You tried to save people. He chose to kill them. But I cannot stop him. Nobody can stop him. And then something happened. The sky lit up, but not with Valoran weapons, with new light, new ships, ships that Doha did not recognize. Lyra's eyes went wide. The Loyalists, she breathed. They came. Her broadcast had worked. Valoran ships appeared by the hundreds, emerging from faster-than-light travel in a flash of blue light. But these ships were not with Voran. They were against him. Reformists, rebels, patriots who believed in what their empire should be. They had heard Lyra's message. They had seen the warlord's true face, and they had come to fight. The battle turned. Voran's fleet, already engaged with the remnants of Earth's defenses, now faced enemies from both sides. Human stubbornness below, Valoran rebellion above. Chaos erupted among the stars. But Voran was not finished. He would never give up. His flagship pushed forward, ignoring the battle around it. He had one target, one goal. Find the princess, make her watch, then destroy everything. Doha saw the flagship approaching. It was huge, 10 times larger than any other ship. It was coming straight for them. He's coming for you, Doha said. Lyra nodded. Then I must go to him. What? He will not stop until he has me. If I face him directly, if I can reach his ship's core. She pulled out a small device. This contains every record of his crimes. If I can broadcast it from his own ship, his own soldiers will see the truth. They will turn against him. That's suicide. Maybe, Lyra looked at him. But it is also the only way to end this. Doha was silent for a moment. Then he spoke. I'm coming with you. Doha, no, don't even try to stop me. He grabbed a weapon from a nearby soldier. He had no idea how to use it, but he did not care. You're not going alone. Lyra looked at him. For a moment, something passed between them, something that neither of them had words for. You are the strangest human I have ever met, she said. And you're the strangest princess. Now let's go save the world. They found a small shuttle in the base hangar. One of the loyalist ships had crashed nearby, and its pilot helped them reach the flagship. They flew through the battle, dodging weapons fire and debris. The flagship was even bigger up close. Its hull was dark and covered in weapons. But the loyalists had damaged it. Shields were failing. Parts of the ship were on fire. They found a hole in the armor and flew inside. The interior was chaos. Soldiers ran in every direction. Alarms screamed, smoke filled the corridors. Nobody noticed two more figures in the crowd. Lyra led the way. She knew the ship. She knew its layout. The core is at the center, she said. If we can reach it, we can broadcast to the entire fleet. They moved quickly. Doha followed Lyra through corridors and doorways, past burning rooms and fallen soldiers. The ship was dying around them. Finally, they reached the core, and Vorin was waiting. He stood alone in the central chamber. His armor was damaged. His face was bleeding, but his eyes were still burning with hate. Princess, he said, you came to me. How thoughtful. It's over, Vorin. Lyra held up the device. This contains everything. Your orders, your massacres, your lies. When I broadcast this, your own soldiers will see you for what you are. Vorin laughed. It was a cold, broken sound. And who will stop me from killing you before you can do that? He moved fast, faster than anything human. His fist shot toward Lyra, but Doha was faster. He threw himself in front of her, pushing her aside. Vorin's fist caught him in the chest and sent him flying across the room. Doha crashed against the wall and fell to the ground. Pain exploded through his body. He could not breathe. He could not move. But he was smiling, because in that moment, Lyra reached the core. She connected the device. She pressed the button, and Vorin's entire criminal history broadcast across every screen in the fleet. Soldiers stopped fighting. Commanders stared at their monitors. Everyone saw the truth. The planets destroyed for no reason. The prisoners executed without trial. The lies told to justify endless war. And they saw Vorin, not as a hero, not as a leader, but as a monster. Vorin screamed with rage. He rushed toward Lyra. But before he could reach her, a voice stopped him. Lord Vorin, you are under arrest for crimes against the Empire. His own soldiers had turned their weapons on him. His own commanders had betrayed him. In seconds, he was surrounded. This is not possible, Vorin said. I am the future. I am the Emperor. No, Lyra said. You are nothing. She turned away from him and walked to Doha. He was still on the ground, breathing slowly. She kneeled beside him. Doha, can you hear me? He opened his eyes. They were full of pain, but also something else. Something warm. Did we win? He asked. Lyra smiled. Tears fell down her face. Yes, we won. Doha smiled too. Good. Then everything hurts for a good reason. He closed his eyes. And for a moment, everything was quiet. 3 months later, the world had changed. Everyone knew about aliens now, about the Valoran Empire, about the princess who fell from the sky, and the translator who helped her save 2 civilizations. Earth was now a protected world under the new Valoran Council. Lyra served as ambassador, building bridges between species. Peace was fragile, but it was real. Doha had become famous. He did not want to be famous. He just wanted to be normal again. He found himself on the rooftop of his old apartment building in Seoul, looking at the stars, thinking about everything that had happened. Footsteps behind him. He did not turn around. He knew who it was. Looking for something? Lyra asked. Just thinking. She stood beside him. Her silver hair glowed in the moonlight. Her violet eyes reflected the stars. You could come with me, you know, she said. See the galaxy. Visit other worlds. Have adventures. Doha considered it. He really did. The offer was amazing. a chance to see things no human had ever seen. But then he thought about his grandmother, his apartment, his simple life. Maybe someday, he said, but someone has to keep Earth warm for when you visit. Lyra smiled. It was a real smile, full of warmth and something deeper. I will visit often, she said. I'll be here. They stood in silence for a while, watching the night sky. Two people from different worlds connected by something stronger than distance. Then Lyra spoke, softly, quietly, just like the first night. Human, may I stay here tonight? Doha looked at her, at the princess who had fallen into his life and changed everything, at the woman who had become his friend, his partner, his something more. He smiled. Always. And above them, the stars shone brighter than ever before.